Hello and welcome to episode 329 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and it's premiere week, and we see all this speculation about how bad Joe Burrow's got injured. Is it a calf? They roll him out and you know, Get Up just sensationalizes everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the lead-ins that they use is disgusting, but I don't like the show. Well, I like it better when Greeny's not on it because he is the king of hype. He and Stephen A.
Yeah,
Right.
they're amongst like reality shows where I thought there would be, a peak and a tail and then they would just sort of go away once people really saw, behind the curtain. But it didn't happen and hyperbolic sports talk still seems to be the one that gets the ratings.
Yeah, I mean, you could rename Get Up. It could be the Dallas Cowboys Aaron Rodgers show.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what it is. And they try and put a twist on that every week, every day. It just, wears you out. You talk about the same things all the time. And then you rehash it every half hour.
And I heard about Ryan Russillo was talking about when he worked there, and he said you would have producers that were either on the phone or would be walking around talking to talent, and they would basically be like, will you say Aaron Rodgers is a moron? And then if you will, you get on TV. Like, just someone to take some sort of weird hyperbolic, do you think that Belichick is overrated forever? And it's like, well, you do? Cool, you can come on TV. You're going to walk with Greeny for 15 minutes. And
You think Dak is the guy.
Yeah.
And
do you think Dak is worse than Kirk Cousins? You do? Awesome. You're on the 9 o'clock block. Like,
yeah. I mean, that's all it is. It's disappointing in that there's really no content. I mean, the NFL show, the NFL Network, that Good Morning Football is light years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is as you know, I used to bartend in a bar that had, 15 televisions all put on sports 24 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like Greeny and Stephen A. were the guy at the end of the bar that would talk, and everybody would roll their eyes and just be glad when they left or shut up. And now they're leading sports,
Yeah.
Like there'd be a real discussion happening about, the Patriots football, and this guy would say the most ridiculous thing about how he could play quarterback for the Patriots and go on these stupid rants. And you would just be like, shut up. And everybody would roll their eyes and make him feel uncomfortable and like, that's Stephen A. That's Skip Bayless. That's Kendrick Perkins. And like they went from annoying guy at the bar to stars of television in this crazy world we live in.
Yeah, all you got to do is have an opinion, no matter how outlandish, and not back down.
Yeah.
No matter, and even if people show you how wrong your opinion is, you just stick with your opinion. You don't back down. That's the state of that's the art right now.
Yeah. It's a little nuts.
It is totally nuts. Well, it looks like Dalvin Cook could be a Jet.
Yeah.
And, you and I talked offline. I mean, kudos to the Jets for really going all. I mean, they're all in.
Yeah.
So they're not leaving any stone unturned. See what happens.
Yeah. And again, they had one of the better defenses in football last year. They've got some pretty nice skill players. They just had one of the worst quarterback situations in football, and you add, a multiple-time MVP, Hall of Fame quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers, even at the age of 40, and you just hope you get, one good year out of him or two,
Yeah, and I think you're getting Aaron Rodgers in a chip that wants to win.
Yeah.
And I think that offense will rise to his abilities.
I think so too. We are going to start previewing the AFC.
I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but they're a team to watch, and they're really going to be an interesting case to watch. Unless, now anything happens to Aaron Rodgers, given his age, he gets hurt, the whole thing falls apart, I think. I don't think that even having all those pieces and then plugging back in your flow from last year, it's not going to work.
No. But this is a good transition because the next week we're going to begin our NFL previews, and we are starting with the AFC East.
Yes. Which, Buffalo's kind of the forgotten team right now.
Yeah.
And Miami looks good.
Although
It's going to be a fun discussion.
And Our last, I guess, our camp rehab or recap. Yeah, Jalen Ramsey, one of the Dolphins' big signings, is out until at least December. He was supposed to
Replaced
be
by Eli Apple.
replaced by Eli Apple for whatever that's worth, because Eli Apple has been, notoriously on the wrong side of history in a number of ways lately. Certainly highlights. And then we have the Jonathan Taylor joining the running back holdout party.
Yeah, and like you and I talked offline, guy that like Saquon Barkley and Jacobs have been the lion's share of the offense.
Yeah.
And for 4 years, I mean, he's been running the ground. I think Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's been hurt. He's been abused.
Yeah.
And Ursay, a guy that you don't like, you don't feel sorry for him. You don't feel you could identify with his position.
No. And again, he's right. They did collectively bargain the current deal, right? That's a fact. Yeah. But it's one of those ones where if you're an owner or just a business person in general, like, what is the benefit of you saying that? Besides making your star.
It's a way to say, hey, I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. I have to agree with this collective bargaining agreement.
But he said it in a very different way.
That impression.
Yeah, he said it in a way that pissed off his star running back, who now asked to be traded. And Ursay's responded that we're not going to trade him now or in October. So.
But does that mean they'll trade him in September?
Yeah.
Or they'll trade him in November?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, it's just, it's nuts.
Hey, but, the NFL, like we say all the time, 365.
Yeah.
There's always something. Even the first week of training camp has not been dull.
No. And like you said, we got the Hall of Fame game on August 5th. Browns and Jets. And we're excited.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're excited. We'll see 5 minutes, well, not even 5 minutes, 5 plays with Aaron Rodgers, unless they have a drive. We'll see 5 plays. Maybe Deshaun Watson plays more.
Yeah, he needs it.
He needs it. Maybe he does play more. Aaron Rodgers, I can't see Aaron Rodgers play more than a series. Maybe. I'd be shocked, but maybe.
Yeah.
There's a lot at stake, and maybe they want to give him some reps on the field in game situations, so we'll see.
It's true. Do you want to do a quick swimming shout-out?
Yeah, shout-out to Katie Ledecky for breaking Michael Phelps' record. She's won now the most individual medals of anyone in swimming history, so shout-out to her.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a nice one.
Let's talk about Dame.
Got to talk Dame.
The league office getting involved, sending out memos to all the teams saying that basically you can make a deal for him. You can sign him, even though he says he won't come and leave and go anywhere else. So it's a little standoff.
Yeah. And I think Dame's agent or somebody released a statement saying that Dame is not going to harden any situation he's put in. He's not going to, go in there and be a malcontent, I guess, or whatever level of quiet quitting you want to call. I guess, did James Harden invent quiet quitting?
I don't know how quiet it is.
Yeah.
But, it's an awkward situation because Miami doesn't have the resources.
No.
And Portland can't just give him away. And he doesn't want to, he's a loyal guy, but he really doesn't want to be part of a rebuild there and doesn't see a role for himself.
Yeah.
And everybody's agreed that he'd be better off somewhere else, except he's trying to, as NBA players have done with great success, is engineer a trade to where he wants to go. But then in this one, we'll have to see how it plays out because I just don't see Miami. This is going to be hard to pull off because they need a partner, and even for the partner, Miami doesn't have that much resources to give up.
No, people pointed out Jovic is considered a first-round pick. Javier, the first-round pick, who's looked pretty good through Summer League, was this year's first-round pick. And then if you add the 27 and 29, that's sort of like getting 4 first-round picks. And then if you could find a third team that wants to give you some kind of asset for Tyler Hero, I don't know what that would be, but I mean, then all of a sudden it's like you got 5 first rounders for Dame, and that looks pretty good, and you free up your, it's not the poo poo platter that everyone seems to be making it out to be, I guess.
No, but again, the UCLA kid is a perfect fit for that team.
Yeah, Miami.
Yeah, he's a perfect fit for Miami.
It's true.
And so, if you give everything up to get Dame, I don't know I don't know how much better you are.
Yeah.
If you can keep some assets and bring them in, you're improved and you're moving up. If you got to give up too much to get him in, then it's just he's in the same situation he's in Portland.
Yeah. I think it really comes down to Miami working really hard to find some way to make palatable assets out of Tyler Hero, who is a very good player.
Yeah, no question.
The last time we saw him healthy, he did not look great, but he's been a really good player. I mean, he averages 20 and 6 or whatever it is, which is, not nothing.
No, he's a great zone breaker. I mean, he's a great shooter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like I said,
we'll have to see. I mean, I don't know. You have to look at which team he could really have an impact on, and then what that team could give up to get him. So
yeah. Do you feel like there's something out there where Portland could get, that? I think that's the crux of the trade, because then, it's like if it's Jovic, 2 Portland first-round picks plus, 2 seconds and another first, then it's like the GM gets to be like, look, I got some stuff.
And I still think that it comes down to me, Oklahoma City has a lot of assets.
A ton of assets.
They don't need Tyler Hero, but they have a lot of assets.
Yeah.
So how can you get some of Oklahoma City's assets to package those to send to Portland?
New Orleans has a lot.
Oklahoma City want from you?
I don't know. You also got New Orleans and Utah, who both also have a ton of assets. And Memphis has quite a few too. I mean, there's some teams that it's just sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just in the wake of some of those recent trades, you wonder, will people be like, well, Rudy Gobert got this, and so got this, and you only got this for Dame? I think it's the conversation they're probably trying to avoid ego wise.
Well, speaking of trades, how about the biggest trade that didn't happen?
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani with the Angels pulling him off the market. And then he goes out the very next day and pitches a one-hit complete game shutout.
Yeah.
And then hits 2 home runs in the second game.
Yeah, you could tell the trade was hanging over his head, and now that he knows where he's at for the rest of the year, it seems like, that maybe that eased his burden a little bit, right?
And I hope for his sake the Angels Mike Trout can come back and the Angels can put it together and at least make a postseason appearance. I don't think it'll be a long postseason appearance, but
just something.
It'll be something.
And there's no franchise tag in baseball, right? If he wants to go somewhere at the end of this season, he can go somewhere at the end of this season.
Yep.
Okay.
He's a free agent.
And baseball is typically not a sign and trade because there'd be no reason for the other team to sign and trade him.
Unless he felt the obligation to help the Angels out that way. Yeah.
But in general, there'd be no reason for him to, they could lose him and get nothing.
He can do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. Because the Angels are going to have to really make something big happen if.
Well, the Mets are moving payroll, so I know that they would try and do whatever it takes to get him. I mean, I'm hoping he stays with the Angels. I'm hoping somehow it works out and he becomes confident and they get some assets and they can do something. So we'll see.
Yes, we will.
But it's interesting.
It typically is, yeah. And like I said, sports-wise, it's been.
Well, I think I'm gonna go on a baseball rant here for a minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you
By all
my
means.
2 World Series teams on July 30th.
Okay.
And everybody knows that when I say bet on something, you should bet on it. But here goes.
Go right
If I
ahead.
was going to plug a bet down on the 2 teams in the World Series right now, I would bet on the Astros and the Braves.
Okay.
That would be my prediction.
Yeah. No. I mean, those are two very good teams, and they make sense. So, do people still hate the
I
Astros?
think the Braves might be the best team in baseball.
Are the Astros still hated as much, or are we done hating them as much?
We still hate them a little bit.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I think we still, yeah.
As long as some of the principal players are still there, you still hate them. They still get booed when those players come up to bat. So,
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots still have Belichick, so
yep.
he's their bad guy, their baddie, if you will.
Interesting promotion last night in Pittsburgh. It's Yinzer Palooza. Yinzer is a Pittsburgh person.
Yes.
And it's a celebration of all things Pittsburgh. They had a pierogi eating contest on Friday night. They had Pittsburgh Bears. And then they had a giveaway last night. They gave away a David Bednar bobblehead. That was a musical bobblehead that played Renegade when you press a button.
Yeah, that's a very cool bobblehead.
It's a very cool bobblehead. So last night they had 38,000 people, even though you only get bobbleheads. But it was a really good game. And if you go on YouTube and Google Renegade, you'll how he enters the game. It's pretty theatric.
Yeah, they did a really nice job of
You
it.
start him in from the bullpen, and then they turn the lights out, and you start playing Renegade, and you put the lights back on as he runs to the mound.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very, very cool.
And for some reason, Renegade is a Steelers song as well.
Yeah. And Styx has no real connection to Pittsburgh, right?
Not other than if they go there, they.
Yeah. Other than their pop, I mean, but they're not.
A reunion tour for Styx. You want to make sure you got maybe 2 shows in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I was like, but they're not a Pittsburgh band, so they just.
No,
yeah.
not by any stretch.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I don't think there's any real connection. They just like that song.
Yeah.
Oh, we can have a Steeler moment, a positive one.
Okay.
James Harrison into the Steeler Hall of Fame.
Yes. The Steeler Ring of Honor.
The Ring of Honor, yes. An all-time great who just, we lost you for a second, but I brought you back on the show.
Quickly. So James Harrison, Aaron,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Who, if you look at his stats, was just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And on the field as well.
A 4th-round draft pick out of Northern Colorado. Ray Mansfield, who was the center on the first 2 Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
And who's the 4th one?
I don't know, but James Harrison, as they pointed out, arguably greatest play in Super Bowl history.
Super Bowl history, no question.
And maybe just based on the stakes, greatest play in NFL history. It's incredible. So,
And what makes it is, if you've seen the play, it's a great play.
Yeah. And as people point, is that he wasn't supposed to be in that position. He ad-libbed. And instead of rushing the passer, he dropped into the passing lane. So.
And it was an all or nothing play. If he got tackled on the 1-yard line, it wouldn't be a great play because time would have expired and nothing would have.
Yeah. And instead of being up at halftime, they would have been down by at least another 3 points. So, yeah.
So it's a very, very interesting play.
Yeah. And every time I watch it, I just.
And watch, people getting blocked and coming back in and having a second chance and tackling him. And he's not the fair world.
No.
And it was just an incredible 100-yard run.
Yeah, and I remember Shea Townsend ran up to James Harrison, was trying to steal the ball from him, his own teammate.
Yeah, because he didn't think he could make it.
Yeah, and then Larry Fitzgerald runs him down, tackles him from behind, but as he tackles him, they fall into the end zone for the touchdown. It's just...
It's an amazing play.
Yeah. And just a cool dude for the Steelers. I always like James Harrison. Again, and like you said...
Remember, he was cut 4 times.
Cut 4 times from the Ravens and the Steelers.
Yeah.
He's, greatest play in Super Bowl history, defensive player of the year, multiple Pro Bowls, multiple first-team All-Pros. I think a legitimate Hall of Famer on his own. I know stats-wise, he didn't have the full length of a career, but, he also was one of those guys that, if it was 4th quarter and, the other team was going, he just had a penchant for making a big play when they needed one.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun thing when that happens. If that is
Yeah.
I forget which game it would be. It would be a nationally televised game, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Yeah.
In fact, it could be the game against the Browns on, I guess, a Monday night game. That seems to be the time they like to do things like that.
Yeah, that'd be very nice. Roll into some food.
So Max Scherzer gets traded from the Mets to the Rangers.
Yeah.
Says the Rangers try and, fight the Astros for that playoff spot. They both probably will get in. The Mets are going to pay $20-some million of the salary.
It's crazy, yeah.
To make the deal go. And they might move Justin Verlander to 40-year-old Justin Verlander and his humongous salary. And they'll probably have to pay part of that as well. So we'll see. I mean, it's crazy times. Back for the Yankees. Yankees will try and make a run. Orioles are in first place.
Yeah.
And it's probably the only way they would be on Sunday Night Baseball. Of course, they are playing the Yankees.
It's true. You want to move into some TV and food, movies, entertainment, all that good stuff?
Yeah, let's go. Again, I've been watching Justified. I watched The End Room.
And we're 8 episodes into Crowded Room, so we're, maybe we'll have a little spoiler-free discussion next week.
I think a couple things are coming back. A couple shows are starting back up that I wanted to see that were in the can before the strike.
Well, one of my favorite shows of the last couple of years, Reservation Dogs, is coming back for its 3rd season. That's a fantastic show on Hulu.
I'm going to have to watch that because they hyped that pretty well on Justified.
Yeah, I think it's one of my probably top 10 shows of the last 5 or 6 years. It's just phenomenal.
And what's the premise for those of us that haven't seen it?
You're following the lives of basically 4 young people growing up on an Indian reservation. And, the whole thing is written by and starring Native Americans. You're getting a different perspective, and you're getting to see a little bit of reservation, reservoir life and the hardships, along with some of the funny stuff that just happens with being kids, and different paths people take. It's just really well done. It's everyone they cast is just really, really, really good. So,
okay, I'm going to give it a shot.
And it's one.
It's intrigued me.
Yeah.
And then Dark Winds is coming back on AMC, the Joe Leaphorn series.
Yeah.
That I really, really like. That's coming back, starting up.
He's on Reservation Dogs, the lead for that show. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Just in case.
So, some good shows coming up. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
But still, shout out to all the writers and actors in this SAG walkout. And it's easy. This is one of those things that's easy to decide which side you're on and who you're going to root for. You root for and really, it is the good guys versus the bad guys in this one.
And it goes deeper too, because when people are talking about scanning extras and using extras with CG, then you're like, okay, so we lost a couple of extras, but you also lose extra PAs on set. You lose extra caterers on set for those days. You lose extra hair people. You lose extra makeup people. These kind of decisions are going to affect more. It's not. It goes even deeper than the person's. The one person's job. It affects.
It's one of those things. It's almost like the baseball strike where you forgot about the concession workers and the ushers and the traffic, the off-duty cops, and everybody else at work. You forget about that economic. I'll call it an economic ripple that ripples much deeper than the surface.
Yes, and my favorite studio of the last decade is A24. I just have really enjoyed the shots they take at movies and the way they try to do different things. They've been approved by SAG and the WGA to keep working because they've already been doing all the right things. And as they keep pointing out, if A24, which makes, much more niche movies, much smaller movies, if they can afford to pay everybody a fair rate, then certainly the people that make Fast and the Furious and Star Wars and Marvel can figure it out. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But another show that I watched that I was shocked it was good, Twisted Metal on Peacock. For those of you who don't know, Twisted Metal is based on a PlayStation game from early PlayStation, and it's basically just Deadly Demolition Derby with some weird characters like a clown that drives an ice cream truck with a flaming skull, and a Hearst and all the granted whatever sort of car you would imagine. But if you think of the movie Mad Max with Charlize Theron and what's his face from a few years ago, it's like that but silly. So if you're looking for something light and just kind of fun, it's really well done. Anthony Mackie's very charming. Thomas Hayden Church plays a good bad guy. The combination of Samoa Joe as the body and Will Arnett as the voice of Sweet Tooth the clown just works really well. It's very silly, but it's, if you're busy watching heavy stuff like The Crowded Room and Justified, like, it's nice to have a silly show just to kind of,
Absolutely.
roll with.
Well, I've got my disappointing food moment.
Yeah.
So I went to the Violet Stone, which I talked about, that Jason sent me the video, and on Instagram, the video is absolutely incredible.
Yes.
So we went on Friday. They open at noon, but they don't start serving pizza till 3:30. So that was the first downer. The second downer is it's not set up. It's still clean to its food truck days.
Right.
And there's really no place there to eat. There's a shelf and some stools. And I had a sandwich. I had a chicken parm sandwich, which was really, really good. And I had the fried mozzarella sticks, which I show in the video. And they were huge, but they were extremely salty for some reason. I don't know why mozzarella sticks would be salty, but they were.
Yeah.
And so that was a bummer. Then we had water to drink, and they just opened up a case of water and handed out bottles of water. So they weren't cold. A fork, no knife, plastic fork, and some napkins. And they actually served your food in a shopping bag.
Huh.
Even though you said you were going to eat it there, you got it to go in a shopping bag because that's the mentality. That's what they're set up to do. So as much as I want to try the pizza, I didn't get to try the pizza, and it's also 40 minutes away from our condo, and there's no way I would go there, buy pizza, and drive it 40 minutes to go eat it. So
No.
it was a little bit of a bummer experience.
Yeah. If you watch their social media video, their social media team gets a 10 out of 10. It's a fantastic video, but it sounds like the rest of the restaurant just doesn't have their, quite down. Like the social media person, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that video made me, and you have to seek this place out. It's not like in an area with restaurants and everything. I mean, it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
You're going down a residential street, and there's a couple, like some old houses that have been converted into some like to-go places, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a bummer, only because there was so much great anticipation. And it was a great sandwich, but the rest of the experience was so underwhelming that it's not a go back to.
Yeah. It's a real bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess also shout out back to TV for a second. What We Do in the Shadows 5th season is on right now, and it's been fantastic again. If that, I think at this point you know what They Do in the Shadows is, and if it's your kind of show, this season's they've done a good job of like advancing stories every season in a silly comedy, which I think is something to be applauded. So there's that.
I think so.
Yeah. I think that might be it for the week, right?
I think that's it. Slow week.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to begin our NFL countdown, and we're going to start off with the AFC East.
Yeah. And, there might be some we double up on and some we do singles on, just depending on, AFC East,
but I think
NFC.
the AFC East is probably fertile enough that we'll spend most of our time on that.
There's a lot of storylines there. A lot of fertile ground we're going to cover.
All right, well, everybody, have a good week.
Talk to you soon.